The road trip moves on, baby. The boys, they're in Boston for an early 5 p.m. in the Mountain Standard Time. It's 4 p.m. pre-gaming, never too early to start drinking. Actually, that's a Drake line. I do believe you can't drink all day if you do not start in the morning. Well, 4 p.m. will work just fine. It's the second game of a 4-game roadie for these Edmonton Oilers as they look for their 4th straight victory and sole possession of the 2 seed in the Pacific Division. Hello, what up, and welcome to Pre-Gaming with Bordzy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the giant for a reason. Pre-Gaming is also a presentation of Bet365, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code NATION. Let's catch up in the chat right now. And the man, the myth, the legend, he's always in there first. He was first in ONE earlier today. It's Austin, and he says, all right, Bordzy, fire up the band, baby. We know I will do that. It's game day in oil country. No better way to start that than with Pre-Gaming with Bordzy and the fine citizens of oil country. You could combine that to be nation citizens. Get the likes in. Keep coming. Ryan, the editor, made me laugh. He said it's never normal at Boards 365. Fact. I like that. Shay, this one didn't really get. He says no Bush League today. Only top tier. I joked. That better not be regarding this show because we might be a little bit Bush League. He also says, let's go Boardsy. Let's go Shay. Let's go Shay. Lance is in. Today's a good day for hockey. Cup year. Let's go. Let's go. Mr. Burns is thinking 5-2. And then Lance says, can you guys believe that Tyler didn't read my super chat today? It's for Ben, your M-Shuck, is what he meant to say, because all of our super chats are in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation, a cause very near and dear to every one of our hearts. And it's Lance for $2 says, Zach, are you thinking of shaving the beard? So as you can tell from my screen, or from our screen, Zach Lang is joining me this evening for both Pre-Gaming and Oilersnation After Dark. Zach, your response?
It's been like 10 years since I've shaved my beard, and nobody needs to see the second and third chins that I have. If you want to see what I look like without a beard, there's a photo I threw up on Twitter last night.
It's shocking.
I know it's shocking. It's like the 12th year anniversary of the 2013 lockout ending or something like that. So that was probably the last time I had a clean shaven face. But Lance, come on. It looks so good right now. How could I shave this off?
They can't tell from the angle I am at. That is a nicely trimmed beard right there. Shout out to you, Zachary. Shout out to your barber. It probably is you. What am I even talking about? Not a beard guy, so I wouldn't know. I've never had to get someone to shave my beard before. Imagine me without a mustache, though. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I don't think we're ever going to see that. I haven't shaved this in 3 years. I think we're going the rest of my life. But everybody, I hope you're doing well. It's a nice early Tuesday afternoon, like I mentioned. We are also joined by producer Patrick Puff behind the scenes. Pat, give the folks a wave. Let's check in on your beard as well.
Oh, yeah. Mine's a little shorter than his, but it does exist.
That's a shot to me right there. That was a shot towards me. I'm going to take it that way. We also got our boy Reese. He's on the sidelines here as well, our new intern at Oilers Nation. He's been joining the team. Former Nate grad, or he will be a soon-to-be Nate grad, I should say. I am a former Nate grad, so we're keeping it in the family. He's going to give you a bet later today. I asked him for one single bet for Bordzy's bankroll, and we're going to judge him entirely off of how well he does on that bet. He's just shit-eating grin over there in the corner as well. But Zachary, how we doing, my friend? We haven't hosted a show together in a couple of minutes.
I know. It's been a minute.
I
miss you too, man. I miss you too.
Go, dog.
I was having fun doing these shows with you. Yeah, man. It's going to be an interesting one tonight going up against the Boston Bruins. I mean, this is a good Bees team. They've been playing good hockey as of late. But the Edmonton Oilers, they're putting together some games here. You know, I wrote about it the other day on Oilersnation.com. You know, coming out of the Christmas break, you could tell the boys had maybe just a little bit too much turkey, a little too many sweets, because they really struggled in those games.
Their moms were in the stands. They were nervous.
They were. You can't blame them, right? But they've really turned it around these last 3 or 4. So I'm expecting a big performance here. We'll talk about this more later, but specifically Connor McDavid. I think this is a big game on the horizon for him here tonight. Held pointless in the last 2 games. I don't know if he's ever been held pointless in 3 straight games. But even in the game against Seattle, like he was looking pissed off, right? Like he was looking angry. He took 6 shots on goal, looked frustrated that he couldn't get one. So I would not be surprised if this was a big McDavid night tonight.
I always say if you're the enemy, you don't like regular Connor. You definitely don't like an angry, pissed off Connor McDavid with extra motivation behind it. Also, what was the stat? First time the Oilers won back-to-back games where McDavid doesn't register a points. The depth is finally here, baby, and we've got our other MVP to lean on. Also, I mentioned Reese, our one intern. We also have Payden, our other intern, who is Mad Sports. And is this his first piece of content? Oilers lose, I'll buzz my hair. Whoa.
All right. Coming in hot.
Nobody asked you to do that. Now it's legally binding. You say it in the chat. We're going to hold you to that one, Payden. Good luck, brother. You better be betting oil money line, everybody. Shout out to Payden. That's balls.
That is.
We need balls. There we go. Before we get into the hockey talk, I do want to mention it. Ty mentioned it on ONE today as well. But we got big news in the city of Edmonton, because Lauren Kyle is opening up her own new business venture, was the term she used. Trove Living and Bar Trove. Can somebody in the chat explain to me, are these 2 different things? Is it like an apartment building for Trove Living and Bar Trove is what it says? A bar. It's going to be downtown Edmonton, right next to like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You also might be asking yourself, Bordzy, why the hell are you bringing up Lauren McDavid's new business ventures to start off pre-gaming? Well, I say 2 things. 1, we all need to start eating there when I believe it opens up spring 25, because we know Lauren, she does great work. She makes great jackets. I'm sure that restaurant is going to be sick as shit. But point number 2 being, Connor McDavid is never leaving the Edmonton Oilers. 2 reasons he's not going. His wife is here, opening up a new business, and his best friend, Leon Draisaitl, just re-signed for another 8 years. I already felt confident in Connor McDavid sticking around in Edmonton. He wants to win the cup. He's been very vocal about that, but shout out Lauren McDavid. He definitely can't leave now. Zach, what do you think that restaurant's going to be like? Because I bet it's like super duper fancy.
It's going to be fancy.
Bougie, if you will.
I mean, you can even see it on the sign there. It says curating timeless elegance. I mean, that just totally fits the brand. I threw an article up last night on Oilersnation.com. Actually, kind of really interesting. I guess this is like a historic building in the city of Edmonton. Like that, It's called the Canada Permanent Building. It was built in 1909 by an architect named Ronald W. Lines. And the building was designed with, and I'm using the quotes from the province of Alberta here, Edwardian Baroque architecture. Which is apparent in its grand proportions and rich ornamentation. And if that doesn't just scream Lauren Kyle to you, I don't know what does. So pretty cool to see this happening. I'm really excited. I'll definitely be checking it out. And again, like you said too, like I think it's a sign of things to come here, right? I mean, you know, she's already got a business in the west end of downtown, Kyle & Co. Design, now opening up a restaurant here. I mean, what else does the future hold for the McDavids here in town?
A lot more. Do whatever you want. I'll provide you the key to the city. I'm sure he already has the key to the city, but let's make a copy of it so Lauren gets one as well. And yeah, you mentioned, the Kyle & Company. She just does awesome stuff. She makes awesome jackets. My mom, I believe, is buying one of those jackets. So, money bags, I guess. Shout out Mama Bordzy. Also got the answer. Some are new condos. Some new condos are buildings with retail outlets on the first floor. Lofts up top, bar below. Giving you the need to know information you need to know before the Boston Bruins game. And, you know, Bordzy, I'm a nightlife guy. I'm a downtown Edmonton type guy. I will be there, but also I am known as Bill Bordzy. That ain't ever going to be better than Greta Bar-Yeg. You can take my word for that. Also, keep it locked on socials. So many of you have been asking, when are we going to be back at Greta for our watch parties? Keep it locked, because we got a shit ton of them coming your way in 2025. Like, I'm talking frequent. It's going to feel like the playoffs yet again. But all right, back to the hockey talk that it is. We did get some news yesterday for practice, and we're confirmed again today for the Edmonton Oilers lineup, because one man, Zach, had a solid weekend for the Edmonton Oilers. You could obviously say Leon Draisaitl. He does that every weekend, but I'm picking out the fourth line man, Jeffrey Scotty Skinner. We have Googled his middle name, as he got 2 points on the weekend, right? It was the Friday. He had the nice apple on Darnell Nurse's goal. And then Saturday, undressed the Seattle goaltender, there you get a good look at Jeff Skinner's stats. Why am I blanking? Philip McGrubauer. That's what I was calling. Yeah, we called him McGruber for all on Saturday night long, all game long. Anytime he made a save, I went, McGruber, as you do. But point being, Jay Skinner, he's getting upgraded to the third line with the Edmonton Oilers, as well as Adam Henrique. They're going to be playing with 50 goal scorer last season, Zachary Martin Hyman. There you get a look at what Monday's practice lines looked like. Yesterday, Derek Ryan, he's back to being the odd man out, the 13th forward. Corey Perry expected to come back in. Hyman stays on that third line. Connor Brown on the top one, where you see Jeff Skinner and Adam Henrique. And this is a much welcome sight for anyone who's been asking for a Jeff Skinner promotion. It's not the top 6 opportunity with Leon Draisaitl that a lot have been asking for, but hey, beggars cannot be choosers. He's going to be playing with some more talented players in Rico and Hyman. And the same goes for Rico as well, right? We called that fourth line when it had Perry on it the doghouse line, because Rico was in the doghouse. Jeff Skinner was in the doghouse. I joked, Perry, maybe not fair to him, but I think he's been in the doghouse a couple times before. And it's nice to see the two of them get their opportunity on the third line, because the thing about Jeff Skinner specifically, Zachary, we see the numbers right there. 7 goals in the bottom 6 all season long. More goals than one Vasily Podkolzin, who has been in that top 6 with Leon Draisaitl. But it's been all about the defensive effort, being defensively conscious, working hard, having confidence. And I would argue Jeff Skinner on this past weekend checked the box on all 4 of those things. He was looking good. So I'm curious your thoughts. Jeff Skinner, we all wondered if it was ever going to come, if he was ever going to get minutes outside of that fourth line. Dude, for a stretch there, he's playing single digits game after game after game. He worked hard. He stuck with it. He's getting rewarded with minutes with Zachary Martin Hyman. Thoughts on Jeff Skinner's opportunity tonight?
Yeah, I think it's well-deserved, and I think that's the really important thing here. It has not been an easy stretch for Jeff Skinner since he joined the team. And admittedly, I think from both the Oilers' perspective and from Jeff Skinner's perspective, it probably hasn't worked out the way that they had hoped. Some nice quotes from Chris Knoblaw the other day, though, saying, quote, Skinner's been playing really well, points in back-to-back games, scored a really good goal the other night instead of one the night before. He's built up some confidence in his game, and that's the biggest thing. And this is the part that I'm really kind of keying in on here with Jeff Skinner as well, continuing Chris Knoblaw's quote. His work ethic has been what it needs to be. I think he's been working hard on the defensive details of his game, but the most important thing to any player, whether you're a goalie, defenseman, or a forward, and especially a goal scorer, is confidence. And you're starting to see him enjoying the game, smiling, having fun, and feeling better with the puck, end quote. And I think that just paints the perfect picture there, right? I think for Skinner to get this elevation in the lineup, it was something that he was going to have to work for. Obviously, he is a veteran guy, right? And these opportunities don't just get handed out to everybody, right? So especially with a deep Oilers team like we have right now, I think Skinner maybe was kind of expecting to just be in the top 6 mix here, and maybe didn't quite work as hard as he needed to in the preseason and early on in this season, because you see Vasily Podkolzin coming in doing the exact thing that he did to get it into the top 6, and now he's not coming off of Leon Draisaitl's wing for any reason here moving forward, unless there's some big trade or something like that, but I don't really see that happening right now. So good on Skinner. I'm really intrigued by the makeup of this line. I mean, Adam Henrique, Zach Hyman. I'm really excited to see what these 3 can do together.
Just getting a look at it there again. I also like the point you made with Pods sticking up in the top 6, because Nobby it's been pretty straight up and clear from day one that you ain't getting that top 6 opportunity until you can prove to be defensively responsible, cover all those things, do the little things, and you get that spot, which is nothing more evident than Vasily Podkolzin owning this on Leon's wing there, owning that spot, because what does he have? 5 goals on the season so far, which is crazy for how many games he's played up there, but he does all of the little things. So give Nobby some credit. He's at least been consistent in what he's asking of his players throughout. And you mentioned it. Maybe Jay Skins thought, I'm playing in Buffalo for the last number of years, I've been scoring goals. Defense, who the fuck cares about defense? Well, if you want to be on a Stanley Cup contender like these Oilers, you're going to have to. And there's healthy competition all over this lineup when you go through it. Zach Hyman is playing on the third line. Shay says those lines are good lines. Yeah, people like him. I like him with those too. Davin, we have a really good team. Yeah,
We do,
totally. Yeah, we do have a really good team. Also, we've been barking a lot on this show whenever we get fired up. And Lance asked, is Zach a man who enjoys a good bark? The dogs be out. It's early, but the dogs do be out. Will Zach partake in a bark sesh? Come on, people. You clearly don't know my boy, Zach. Also, fun fact, when you look at those 4 lines, every single line has a former 50 goal scorer on it. Connor McDavid, 64. Dry's got 53 times. Zach Hyman has got 54 last season. And Corey Perry, now it was a minute ago in 2010, 2011, did score 50 goals in that season. So shout out. We got talent all over the ice. We also got some news earlier today as those lines right there on the defense, not totally accurate, Zachary, because Josh Brown was recalled from the Bakersfield Condors and is expected to step into the lineup. Here's a little need to know from our boy DNB, Daniel Nugent Bowman. So Josh Brown is coming into the lineup for Troy Stecher. Now, where will he play in the lineup? Will he be in Stecher's spot? We have yet to find out. That's why you watch Pregaming, because we'll let you know roughly when they hit the ice at 30 minutes past the hour. Corey Perry comes back in, like I mentioned, in replace of Derek Ryan. Stuart Skinner, he's going to get the start. And then, of course, Skinner, Rico, and Hyman. So the Josh Brown thing, he's going to enter the lineup in replace of Troy Stecher, who, Zach, he's been totally adequate, fine this season, but lately he's been falling down, maybe a little bit back to reality, specifically with minor penalties. He's been taking a number of them. One game, the Sunday one against the Ducks, he had 8 minutes in minor penalties, something you just simply cannot be doing, especially in the amount of minutes that Stetch does play. But he has been solid. I want to make that clear. He gets a night off here in the 4-game roadie. That's why Josh Brown was recalled. You're going to be in Boston tonight, Pittsburgh Thursday, Chicago on Saturday. So, yeah, I'm totally in favor of Stetch getting that break. But, Zach, if Josh Brown is playing top 4 minutes tonight with Darnell Nurse, we're turning the TV off because I don't want to have to subject my eyes to something like that. And leads me to the point that I've been making nonstop, the drum I have been banging. If this isn't an opportunity for Ty Emerson to play with Darnell Nurse inside the top 4, I do not know what is. The only other one I could see is Brett Kulak getting that shot, switching sides, which he's done in spurts, kind of does it every single game. But Nabi has been clearly committed to not flipping him and always having one of Ekholm, Nurse, or Kulak on the ice for the most part. But back to the Emerson thing, I kind of sound like a broken record, but he's big, he's strong, he's smart. He does have some skill. All 4 of those things sound like a natural top 4 defenseman. And yes, MB does not have a ton of NHL experience. I think that's why we look at him so fondly. Hasn't been a huge sample size. Also doesn't play a ton of minutes. And that's been perfect for a young guy like this. But it's the argument I've been making, Zach, that if we're going to keep talking about the biggest hole on this team is a top 4 defenseman on that right side, well, you should probably give MB a shot before the trade deadline comes around so you know what you have right under your nose before you go out there and go shopping. As I mentioned, we do not know for sure if that is going to be what the Oilers do, but I'm curious your thoughts. If Josh Brown steps in, it better be MB or I guess Brett Kulak, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think Emerson will play up on that second pairing with Nurse.
Come on, baby.
You have Josh Brown on the third pairing. Josh Brown, he's a professional hockey player. An AHL professional hockey player at this point in time, who for some reason still got a 3-year contract from the Edmonton Oilers, still trying to figure out an explanation for that one. Doesn't make sense to me, but hey, what can you do? He's a guy, he can fill in and play hockey and give you some minutes there. I don't think it's the worst thing to have Stetch kind of sit here. I really don't. I mean, you take a look at Jeff Skinner getting scratched. He came back hungry from that. I think it'd be the same thing for Stetcher too, right? The nice thing is the Oilers have some guys that you can kind of rotate in a little bit here and there. And Josh Brown is a guy you can rotate in here and there. Don't
like physically you can put him
like
out
physically, there. Like you can physically have him in there, but I don't know if I necessarily feel the greatest about it. That being said, Brett Kulak's played great hockey this year, your boy, right? So I think Kulak could be able to help stabilize that pairing a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. It's a pipe dream for me to see Emerson. We haven't seen it there all season, but you mentioned it. We've been seeing guys up and down, out of the lineup, all over. Connor Brown on the top line. And the point I've made, this is the perfect time of year to start experimenting with things in the dog days of January, February. Also on the road, I'm totally fine with Stetch getting a game, and I think he needs to step back for a minute. Remember last year, Stetch through and through was our 7th defenseman, played in and out for the final month, 2 of the season post-trade deadline, and I think that's a spot I'd like him to be in. I also laughed at Lance, said he's lying. He won't turn the TV off. You've called my bluff, goddammit. You have called my bluff, Lance Kane. There's no way I would do that. Also, we got to tune in. We got to watch the new virtual golf league, the Tiger Woods golf league and everything. That starts this evening.
Hey.
And it will be on TV.
Right.
Let's get TV number 2 on that for this evening. You guys don't care about that. That was just for us here in the building. But the opponent this evening, it is the Boston Bruins. The next part of the segment, do it solely in Boston accents. No, I'm kidding. Nobody wants to hear that. But they are not having their usual season of regular season dominance. Granted, last year wasn't that either. Zach, it really feels like the changing of the guard here in the Atlantic Division, specifically with these Boston Bruins. 20-17-5 on the season, 3rd in the Atlantic Division. There you get a good look at it. Toronto kind of running away with it. Florida, we don't even need to speak that name. The Panthers in here. Boston Bruins, they're 3rd. The Tampa Bay Lightning be 4th. But it's been all things that are not regular in Boston. Bad goaltending, a mid-season coaching change, stuff that just straight up doesn't happen in Beantown. As you remember, they fired their head coach, Jim Montgomery, earlier in the season, and they got a new head coach in Joe Sacco. They did get the new head coaching bump. They had won 7 out of 9, but since then, kind of fallen back to reality, and they have actually lost 4 straight hockey games heading into this one tonight. Losers of Washington, the New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the New York Islanders in overtime on Sunday night. And to be frank with you, given the fact that they rank 25th in goals for and goals against total on the season, I would argue that 20-17-5 is a pretty good record for a team that can't score goals and allows too many as well. It's tough times in Boston right now. Also, the Patriots totally squandered away the 1st overall pick. I was so pissed off. Get out of my face, Zachary, with that. But right, the Bruins, they're starting to sink. The Red Sox, they maybe don't stink, but it's tough times in Boston. As I say that, I remember the Celtics won the NBA championship last season. But Zachary, Boston, been a very, very weird season for the Bruins so far. Like, they don't fire coaches mid-season, especially coaches named Jim Montgomery. And yes, Sacco came in, turned around for a bit. The same issues are still there, specifically goaltending.
Yeah, well, you take a look at the Boston Bruins, 12-8-2 under Joe Sacco. And, the last time that the Edmonton Oilers played against the Boston Bruins, back on December 19th, the Edmonton Oilers, a 3-2 win in overtime. How did I do?
That was okay. That was okay. Yeah.
I got my car keys and my car keys.
It's all R's become H's. That's your
That's
wicked
right.
smats.
That's right.
You work wicked hard.
Yeah, I just got to roll the R's,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been interesting to see what's been going on with Boston as of late. As you mentioned, they've kind of hit a bit of a skid here. One thing worth noting too, and I think this is a really interesting thing to look at here with this Oilers game tonight, the power play matchup. The Oilers have a really good power play matchup here. 5th ranked power play in the last 10 games. Going up against the Bruins PK, 27th ranked over their last 10. So a really strong matchup here for the Oilers with the man advantage. And I think that's an interesting way to kind of look at this game here, especially with Connor McDavid, looking for him to kind of heat up here tonight as well. So, the Bruins are still a good team. They're still a deep team. And I think they're still playing good hockey, even though, they are on a bit of a losing skid here as of late. A couple of tough losses. But you know what? They're going to come into this one hungry, right? Especially having lost against the Oilers, 3 weeks ago now. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. But, you can't take the Bees lightly ever, right? So, and I think that's what the Oilers have to keep in mind here is they got to come in and give it 110.
I see some jersey colors. I know that they still scare me. This would be one of them. But, people, if you've been here on this pre-gaming journey all season long, this might be one of 3 times all season that the Edmonton Oilers lead all 4 categories: goals for, goals against, power play, and PK. Mama, we made it. They said we wouldn't be here, but here we are. Also, big news. Is your dad in the chat right now?
Yeah, that's Papa Lang.
Papa Lang, clap it up again.
Yeah. The man, the myth, the legend. He always tells me how you're his favorite Oilers Nation employee. He loves watching the shows. And I've been telling him to get into the chat because it's great here. So it's nice to see the big man joining the show today.
Papa Lang, be sure, rule number 1, you got to throw down your like before. But I know you. I'm sure you covered that. You've been in here before, just not in the chat. Blair, you're now my favorite Oilers Nation dad of everybody else's dads. I'll say, yeah, there we go. Sorry, Pat. Oh, shit, your dad's actually pissed. Oh, your dad's going to be pissed. We've hung out a couple times. All right, well sorry, Papa Puff. Sorry, Papa Puff. They also said that was a good accent. Attaboy, they're pretty happy with you.
Thank you.
So there you go. One said, oh, dear God, like in Boston. Also,
oh, dear God.
There it is. QF Pro says it's either going to be 1-0 or a complete blowout. I can't decide which way it's going to go. And I know where we're going to go, and it's to the Wilhock Beef Jerky. Need to know information. Only the finest tasting products earn that Wilhock name, made from 100% pure Alberta beef. Their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size, and you can find their jerky, sausage, and other products out of their Leduc location. For more info, go to wilhockbeefjerky.com. Our new intern, Reese, has yet to try Wilhock Beef Jerky. We're going to need to change that. We're going to need to get that going. But need to know info. Standings watch. Hit it for me, Pat. Can you show off the Pacific Division standings? Because a little update for you. I'm trying to work on getting a big graphic that goes for standings watch. Vegas Golden Knights, they are still hopefully in the lead. 6 points up on the Kings and Edmonton Oilers, each with 51 points. The Oilers, they have one more game played than the LA Kings. But as I mentioned earlier, Kings not in action tonight. So if the Oil do grab 2 points or even 1, but that's loser talk. We don't want anything to do with that. They would have sole possession of second place, and they're also up 6 on the Vancouver Canucks with the same amount of game played. Timeout. What the hell is going on in Vancouver right now, dude?
Yeah, great question.
Lots
of people are asking that. And, it was interesting. I was watching The Sheet with Jeff Merrick today. Great show if you haven't tuned in. But he kind of made a great point. Like, nobody really knows what's actually going on there, right? I mean, all you hear is that there's a rift between Pettersson and Miller, and you got Brian Burke out there saying that they should just fight, or somebody else should fight JT Miller and just settle it that way. It's a really ugly situation, and it feels like the only thing that might solve this is a trade of one of these guys. An interesting report from Josh Yohe at The Athletic today that apparently the Canucks turned down an offer or a deal that surrounded Zibanejad for JT Miller. They're clearly listening on both players, and I mean, from an Edmonton Oilers perspective, like, this is kind of awesome, right? I mean, like, Miller and Pettersson have been great for a number of years now. I think if I'm the Canucks, I'm probably trading Miller 2 times over before I'm trading Pettersson. I mean, you look at the age difference in these guys. Miller's 32, Pettersson is 26. I mean, I think that's the way that makes the most sense here. But hey, who the hell knows where this one's going to end up, because it could just drag out the entire season here too.
It's ugly. It's weird. It's got to be awkward to be in that room. Even when they give their interviews, like the 1 week ago, JT was like, I could bring PD out right now and we could stand in front of you and say we're cool and you're not going to believe me. And I'd be like, yeah, it's because your face doesn't have me believe you. You're clearly lying right now. Like, there's clearly a deal. I also agree with Brian Burke. Just shed the mitts, figure it out. Whatever, you're hockey players, you'll figure it out. But it's tough, right? If you had to pick one between Miller and Pettersson, the age part's there. I'd argue JT Miller is the much, much better hockey player, especially over the last 9 months or so with the way EP40 has been playing. Either way, as an Oilers fan, just grab your popcorn, sit on the sideline and check Twitter and just refresh, because it is awesome to watch. I've been loving every bit of it. But back to the Oil Need to Know. They have won 3 straight in a row and are still undefeated in 2025, 7-2-1 in their last 10. Get a look at all those numbers and where they rank in the NHL. Top 10 in both goals for and goals against, just outside the top 10 for the power play. And after the way the PK started this season, 24th, 76.9%. I am thrilled to look at that every single game. And then, as I mentioned, also, we got Pittsburgh Thursday and then the Chicago Blackhawks on Saturday. 2 nice matchups for the Oilers. Leon Draisaitl continues to dominate this league. He's got a 14-game point streak going right now. During that, he's had 27 points, 12 goals, 15 assists, basically averaging 2 per game. He's the king of nicknames, I guess I wrote down. He called him Evan Bucci Schnitzel Bouchard, Adam Reeky Deaky Henrique, and Stuart Skin Daddy Skinner, which we have been calling him for well over a year. So good on us. Bucci Schnitzel Bouchard.
Do I hear that? Is that the sound of Kennedy making some new t-shirts? I can hear the keyboard clacking away right now.
We went with Rico Suave. I also like Reeky Deaky as well. We went through the line combos as well. We'll find out where Josh Brown will play in the lineup momentarily. Should be Stuart Skinner. He's going to start for the Oil. 15-8-3 on the year, 278 goals against with an 898 save percentage. I feel like every time he gets to this point, I go, just one solid performance, and we would be back up above a 900 save percentage. Somebody in the chat, do that math. How many consecutive saves do we need? And on the Bruins side of need to know, third in the Atlantic, they are on pace to finish with 88 points, which would be their worst finish since 2006, 2007. That is almost 20 years we're coming up on. It's a testament to their longevity and a testament to the reality that I think is happening to them. Them and the Pats, man, I'm telling you, both times, tough times in Boston. The first meeting between these two, Oil and Bruins, was back on December 19th in an Oilers 3-2 overtime victory where comeback, baby. The comeback kids, you're down, but you're never out. The Bruins were up 2-0. Oil clawed their way all the way back, capped it off with a Matthias Ekholm game winner just over a minute into the OT period. The Bruins are 12-8-2 with new coach Jeff Sacco, as opposed to 8-9-3 under Jim Montgomery. But as I mentioned, they have lost 4 in a row. And stats-wise for the Bruins, kind of weird when I looked at this. David Pastrnak leads the team with 42 points in 42 games. Point per game player, but I would still argue is pretty low for regular Pasta rates he's been at. 17 goals, 25 assists. Pasta is the only point per game player on this team, and it's not even remotely close. Brad Marchand has 32 and 42. After that, the drop-off, Pavel Zacha has 21 points in 42 games played. It's crazy. It makes sense when they're 25th in the league in goals for per game. And gone are the days of David Krejci, a young Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, and Pastrnak. He's still there, but hasn't been happening. I mean, still point per game. Like, let's not say he's no slouch. He's no scrub out there, but it hasn't been to his usual rates. Bruins will also be without Hampus Lindholm for his 26th consecutive missed game. There is still no timetable for his return, but he has resumed skating. He's been out since November 12th. And then finally, Jeremy Swayman, he gets to start. Very disappointing season for $8 million a year for the next 8 years. 13-13-3 record, 2.91 goals against with an 891 save percentage. Is that worse than Stuart Skinner? Yeah, damn right it is. And December Stu, January Stu, come on, he's a completely different animal. Let's go now to our Sherwood Ford Giant storyline, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant. Tired of dealership hassles? Well, Sherwood Ford in Sherwood Park is all about convenience and upfront pricing with their Giant Deal program. Get clear, no-nonsense pricing on new and used Fords online with all incentives included. Plus, enjoy the ease of mobile service, free pickup and delivery, and same-day or next-day service appointments. Throw them in if you've got a storyline or a key to victory or anything this evening. If I had to pick a key to victory, you just mentioned it. It's the Oilers' power play against that Bruins PK. Furthermore, against Jeremy Swayman, those numbers leave a lot to the imagination, and I think the Oilers... Come on. You pick that power play against anyone. I get they're 12th in the NHL. I'm still picking them over every other unit in this league. Another storyline I'd have is, what can that third line do with Jeff Skinner, Rico, and Zach Hyman? Skinner starting to heat up a little bit. It is just 2 points in 2 games, but we're going to take that, and he's getting upgraded to that third line. Rico, I also thought, looked good on that fourth line this past weekend. And Rico is not a fourth-line player. Jeff Skinner is not a fourth-line player. They've had to earn it. They did over the weekend, and you throw in goal scorer through and through, Zach Hyman, where furthermore, I want to ask you about he's been driving play on that third line. He has been the player on that line. Had the puck much more on his stick, but my storyline is curious. Can Skinner keep it going? Can Rico keep it going? And can Zachary Martin Hyman help them find some goal scoring production this evening? Zachary, you got a storyline or a key to victory or anything?
Yeah, I think the power play is a great note there. I really do. I think this is a great spot for the Edmonton Oilers, specifically Connor McDavid. Maybe a little preview to what my betting pick of the game is going to be here later on. I think another key for the Edmonton Oilers is just going to be to find a way to get to Jeremy Swayman. You take a look at his underlying numbers, goals saved above expected, negative 7.6 on the season. That is the 9th worst number of any goaltender in the league this season to draw in for a game. So he's really struggled as of late. Stuart Skinner, he's been starting to really turn his season around here. Negative 0.94 goals saved above expected. So seeing some better things from Skin Daddy here as of late, which is great to see. So get the power play going, find a way to get to Swayman, who's also struggled against the Oilers in his career. 4 games, only 2 wins, 322 goals against average, and an 886 save percentage. So that's going to be it for me.
I like that. I like that a lot. And also, I think the power play might semi-align with what I know Reese's bet is as well. It's Bordzy's, but it's not just Bordzy's bankroll today, baby. It's Zach's bankroll. It's Reese's bankroll. It's going to be Pat's bankroll as well. Pat, if you want to craft up a spider, go nuts.
Okay.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to make an 8-leg parlay, but it would be cool if you did. Let's take a peek. I'm still looking online right now. Zach, do you see any confirmation on what the Oilers lineup will be yet?
We've got confirmed starters. It's going to be Skinner and Swayman going head to head. Scratches are confirmed. Derek Ryan, Troy Stecher for the Oilers, Mark McLaughlin, and Edmonton Oilers legend Jordan Osterley getting the scratch for the Bees.
Whoa, so we don't know where Josh Brown is going to play in that lineup yet, but Pat, you can pull it up anyways. This is what was in practice the other day, as in Monday, as in yesterday. Holy shit, what day of the week is it right now? As you see it, RNH with McDavid and Brown, Pods with Dry and Arvidsson, Jeff Skinner with Rico and Hyman, Corey Perry with Janmark and Kapanen, and then I'm hoping, I'm wishing it's Emerson with Nurse and Josh Brown with Brett Kulak, but we'll wait around until we see if we can get that. And I guess this is kind of a combination talk of Jeff Skinner and the Oilers' second line, because there's a lot of people online who are constantly asking still, can Jeff Skinner ever get that opportunity on the second line in the top 6? Is it going to happen? Podkolzin only has 4 goals, 5 goals, whatever it is on the year. Why won't he get that shot? And I feel like my stance on this, Zach, is very, very, very simple. If Leon Draisaitl likes playing with Vasily Podkolzin, he gets Vasily Podkolzin. If Leon Draisaitl likes playing with Jeff Skinner, well, guess what? He's going to get Jeff Skinner. And I mean, frankly, Leon Draisaitl wants a bowl of tomato soup with some grilled cheese. He gets tomato soup and grilled cheese. I will deliver it by myself over to him. Point being, if Leon wanted Jeff Skinner on his wing, I think it would have happened by now. If he didn't want Vasily Podkolzin, he would have him off. But that simply just is not the case right now. And Pods does all the little things. Yes, he needs more goals than 4 goals on the season. It will come. He does all the little things, and it's that I think the way Pods plays allows Draisaitl to focus in offensively and do all these other things. I do not think that it is coincidence that you have this big body, physical, retrieves pucks, gets him down, gives him back to Dry, plays solid defense. I don't think that there's a coincidence that it's his best 5v5 scoring season Leon has ever had. He leads the league, even strength goals, down in like 70-something of whatever for power play goals scored on the season, because he's getting it done 5v5, and he's getting it done with one Vasily Podkolzin. I've also liked Arvidsson on there. Just feels like he's getting more comfortable game in and game out. He had mentioned, and I kind of see it now when he's out there on the ice, that before he got injured, Arvidsson, he was maybe going a little too fast out there, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but spending 15 games from above, watching from the press box. He went, oh, I can find an opening there. I can find an opening there, which is another thing I think Vasily Podkolzin as well has been done very well this season. Thoughts on what I said? You totally picking up what I'm laying down, because I do think it's that simple.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that there's a lot of sway that McDavid and Draisaitl have in terms of the roster construction and specifically who they get to play with. So, in the same breath, I don't think it would surprise me to see Jeff Skinner bumped up into the top 6. but only if he can kind of keep this going, right? He's got to prove that he can be effective on the third line, consistently generating some offense, playing some good defense. I mean, you got Connor Brown up there on the top line right now, which I think is fine, but Connor Brown isn't a first line player.
It's just that it's fine.
It's fine, right? I mean, he's the defensively responsible guy of those three in this current makeup. So I could see a situation where, Skinner gets bumped up the lineup. But again, I think it's going to be a matter of time, and he's going to have to really earn it for sure.
I don't think it's coming on that second line. I think Nobby has been so set on that trio. We've seen it the last couple of weeks too here. Everything else has changed except for those three. They are the staple of the Edmonton Oilers right now. We'll go quickly. One more note on the Oilers, because kind of what you mentioned. Connor McDavid, weird weekend. It was a very weird weekend. You could see the frustration on him. Some people were saying, I laughed, they were like, Connor's been off lately. And I went, he just had a 12-game point streak. What are we even talking about? He's allowed to have some off games here and there, but he had his point streak snapped on Friday, was held pointless again on Saturday. And Connor continues to seem very set on passing the puck. It's obviously what he's set on doing. He's not going to shoot. I joke, Zach, that if Connor was just set on shooting the puck, we could profit off of his shot prop every single night so much. That guy has the ability to put 8 on net every night if he wanted to, but he's playing with other players, and we know that's kind of more his game. Without Zach Hyman on that top line, though, I would like to see Connor McDavid rip the puck a little bit more tonight. I was considering McDavid anytime goal scorer. No, I'm a pussy. I backed out. I couldn't do it. But do you think there's something there that we might see? You mentioned the angry McDavid, the motivated McDavid. Can that translate to shooting the puck, or do you think he's going to be set in his ways?
No, I think it absolutely will. And I mean, you take a look at the Seattle game, the most recent game for the Oilers. He had 6 shots on goal, right? So, and that was after a game where he had 0. So, McDavid over the course of his career, he's only been held pointless in 3 straight games, 5 times. 20 times he's been held pointless in 2 straight games. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not happening very, very often. I don't have the time to pull it up right now, but I'd be willing to bet in those games after McDavid has held pointless for 2 or 3 that he pops off, because that's the kind of player that Connor McDavid is, right? Again, like I said at the top of the show, he's a very prideful player, and he's somebody that, really, really wants to contribute. Tony Brouwer coming out with some lines right now.
Sir.
It looks like the forward lines are all staying the same.
Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
And Josh Brown's playing with Darnell Nurse. So looks like we'll be turning off the TVs today.
All right, Lance, you called my bluff. I'm still going to watch the entire game, front to back. Yeah, so there we see it. Ekholm with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse with Josh Brown, Brett Kulak with Ty Emerson. You know what that tells me? Brett Kulak's going to be playing a lot with Darnell Nurse this evening and switching sides. Something we know Kulak is fully capable of doing. I just don't think it's his preference to do it. But it's my preference, definitely over one Josh Brown. Do we see a fight tonight from Josh Brown?
Well, he's going to have to do something out there.
I mean, if Brett Kulak's going to be taking his minutes, you might as well go sit in the box, drop the gloves. Well, all right, there we go. Southpaw Boards is going to be watching golf now. That's TV number 2. That's TV number 2. Oil will always get TV number 1. Let's go now quickly, and let's do our starting goaltender report. Brought to you by Power Sports and Marine. Also, my alarm's going off. Set your fantasy lineups. 4:45, 5 p.m.'s coming up. That's for you, everybody. I also turned off the ringer, finally. This used to go off during the show. Hit the trails this winter and the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Power Sports and Marine are helping Oilers Nation fans gear up. They're home of an ATV for just $50 bi-weekly, or cruise the open water for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Power Sports and Marine are hockey fans helping hockey fans get ready for their next adventure with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, and boats. Hit it for me, Patrick. The tail of the tape between the two goaltenders. Could have been a clean sweep except for that shutout thing over there. We might have owned every category on these graphics, but you see it. Swayman 500 record 291 goals against, 891 save percentage, as opposed to Stu. Those numbers are getting better and better. 15-8-3, 278 goals against, 898 save percentage. Stu also in his last 12, 9-2-1, 217 goals against, 922 save percentage. That's the Stuart Skinner that we know and love. That's the Stuart Skinner that took the Edmonton Oilers to Game 7 of the Cup Finals last season. And reminder, Stu already beat the Boston Bruins once this year. December 19th, stopped 24 of 26 against the Bruins. Confidence with Stu heading into this one. I have had all the confidence in the world all season. Wrongfully so in the months of October and November. We knew he'd turn it around in December. And may I remind you, in the last 2 years in January, Stuart Skinner has yet to lose a game.
There you go.
Bang. Confidence in Stu?
New year, new Stu. He always seems to play his best hockey in January. I think he's got a 920 career save percentage in the month of January. So loves to play in the new year, and I think it's a great spot for him here tonight. I mean, again, this is a Boston Bruins team who has been playing good hockey as of late. But again, a lot of that offense is coming from one David Pastrnak. So if the Oilers can find a way to contain him, looks pretty good for the team.
Yep, I love it. I love it. I love it. Then there's Jeremy Swayman. Big disappointment so far this season. And it's crazy, but it's not crazy, right? Because his numbers last year, 253 goals against and a 916 save percentage. You'd say that's a crazy drop-off, and I agree. But he only played in half the games last season. He started 43 of them. Now you're getting number one workload, 1A workload, and you don't have Linus Ullmark back there to bail you out whenever you have bad games and whatnot. It has been a struggle so far this season for Jeremy Swayman. And Zach, do you remember the last game they played? Zach Hyman scored one of the shittiest goals I've seen in an incredibly long time. He barely even looked at the net, was up by the faceoff dot, didn't even get the puck off the ice, just slid it along, and it beat Swayman 5-hole, and that was part of the Edmonton Oilers comeback in the second and third periods, and it was ugly then. It still looks like it's ugly. Is this going to change anytime soon? May I remind you, they signed this man to an 8-year, $66 million deal this past summer. Sounded like they didn't even want to do it. And now you're not stuck with this contract. I still believe in Swayman. He can turn it around, but this season, it's looking weird. It's looking bad.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for Jeremy Swayman. I think, actually, now that I think of it, I think one of the last times we did a show was actually the last Boston game in December, because I remember sitting here having this exact conversation about Swayman, right? So, the struggles have been there. Very, very clearly been a tough year for him. And again, it just speaks to how important, playing in the preseason and having some good early hockey games under your belt is for NHL players. So, he is still a good goaltender. Like, I think that's still something worth absolutely noting here. But yeah, the struggle has been real for Swayman as of late.
Yeah, it sure has. Let's go now quickly to the Greta Bar Yeg away lineup, brought to you by Greta Bar. As I mentioned, keep it locked on these Oilers Nation socials, because we've got parties galore coming up, specifically in the month of February. We're also going to be partying there for 4 Nations. I'm going to be hosting some parties down there, and I'm not going to have to do this show or the post-game show for that. So you're telling me Bordzy's only job is going to be to throwing a party down at Greta? Pat, back to my face here, please. Yeah, people, we're going to be partying pretty good down at Greta Bar in February. You can take my word for that if you're around for the playoffs. They do it right. And when they give me the microphone and the ability to burn bills, give out free shots, the world is my playground, and boy, oh boy, did I make Greta my playground. There it is on your screen, the projected roster this evening for the Boston Bruins. Morgan Geekie with Pavel Zacha and David Pastrnak. Second line, Brad Marchand with Elias Lindholm and Charlie Coyle. Oliver Wahlstrom with Trent Frederick and Justin Brazeau. I really do think the last game we did was the Bruins, because we were talking about Mark Kastelik on the fourth line with John Beecher and Cole Koepke. Deep pairings, Parker Wotherspoon with Charlie McAvoy. Little Z, he's back, baby. Nikita Zadorov with Brandon Carlo, and Mason Lowry with Andrew Peak. Zachary, I'll just ask you here, if you had to pick one for your player to watch in this Boston Bruins lineup. As I mentioned, not what it used to be. No Krejci, no Bergeron, no Jake DeBrusk. Even on this lineup, who's your player to watch?
Well, it's funny because last time we did this, I picked Mark Castlick and he scored a goal.
And he scored a goal. Yeah.
And funny enough, that's the
Don't pick him again. Don't pick him again.
The last time he scored a goal was against the Edmonton Oilers. So I absolutely nailed that one there. I think for me, a guy to watch, Brandon Carlo on the blue line. A strong defensive defenseman. The guy just loves to eat pucks for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Loves to block them. So that's going to be something the Oilers players are going to have to keep an eye out for. But I think he's a solid defensive defenseman for them.
Man, like when I look at this, obviously be a cop-out to pick David Pastrnak or Brad Marchand.
Oh,
but as
Lord.
I went, holy shit, you guys see that?
That was very distracting.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 flats of Odd Company Nation beer that just got home. All right, well, we're getting drunk now.
I wish I could pan the camera
Feel
over.
my beating heart.
That was
insane,
insane.
folks.
Hey, toss me one. Point being, I am totally distracted what I was saying. Oh, that you'd pick one of those two guys for your players to watch. And it's not even like you can't even make that argument. It's Pastrnak point per game, 10 points below it is Marchand, 10 points below that is Pavel Zacha. I will say, I'll just go with Elias Lindholm. He knows the Edmonton Oilers well, former Calgary Flame, former Vancouver Canuck. So I'm sure he knows how to play one Connor McDavid. He's also been a solid defensive guy from time to time. That was awesome. I can't believe what I'm even seeing back there. That's a good time. Before we do Bordzy's bankroll, let's give a shout out to the Odd Company Nation Beer Everyday Lager. Perfect for game day. Perfect for every day. Reese, have you noticed how there is just beers, miscellaneous beers all over this entire office? Second floor, third floor, definitely on the first floor down at Dog Patch. Shout out 2 ad reads in 1. Go Bordzy. Odd Company beer. You can pick them up 2 locations in the Edmonton area or liquorconnect.com and find out which local liquor stores be carrying that bad boy. Let's go now. Another ad read for Bet365 for Bordzy's bankroll because Bet365 is a proud partner of Pre-Gaming with Bordzy. Open an account with Bet365 today. Bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. Download the app today. Use the code NATION, NATION. Do you have news?
I do. Something interesting that just popped up. So you take a look at the roster report for the Edmonton Oilers. Starting lineup for the Edmonton Oilers is the second line: Leon Draisaitl, Victor Arvidsson, and Vasily Podkolzin. The defensemen that are starting together are Darnell Nurse and Brett Kulak. So the Josh Brown, Darnell Nurse era has lasted all of 8 minutes and 0 ice time. So looks like the Oilers will be going with Nurse Kulak, at least to start. I like that. Kulak and Nurse have played really well together in their limited ice time this season. So don't mind that switch up there.
What are we even doing here, Nobby? Why are we even writing it down on the lineup cards like this? Either way, shout out Brett Kulak. He can do it all. Whatever you want him to do, he can get it done. Okay, what else pointed out? Bordzy's salivating suddenly. I'm just drooling looking at the beer.
It's literally taller than me.
Yeah, like that. That was huge.
It was.
That was a crazy amount of beers. Okay, now let's take a look at Bordzy's bankroll. These are the options I have got this evening. We're going to throw to Reese in a second as well. And Zach, you might have one as well. But for me, this first one is a bag milk special. He told me about it. I said I had to. Nuge, 3 shots on goal plus 180, or just over 2.5, I might even say. Then your second option, and actually for Nuge, he's got goals in 3 straight, goals in 4 of his last 5, and he's got 9 shots in his last 3 games. Your secondary option is Leon to get 2+ points, plus 130. As I mentioned, 27 points over his 14-game point streak. He's basically averaging this over his last 14 games, which is insane. And if Bet365 isn't going to adjust the line, I'm never going to stop gambling on it. It's been staying in slot number 2 here for like a week or 2. And then finally, once again, if it ain't broke, do not fix it. Leon anytime goal plus 145 now. It was 140 earlier. So somehow Leon is getting even juicier. What is happening over there? Don't question it. Just profit off of it. Leon, 39 total games played. He's scored an anytime goal in 24 of those games. You got to like it. 12 in his last 15. And then I've got an honorable mention from our new pal, Reese, the intern. Reese, you can just say it off camera. If you had one bet that I'm going to judge you off for the next 4 months here, what are you going to go with?
I got Booch over 2.5 shots on goal.
And I believe that is
that.
currently minus 110. So I believe it's straight even money on that bad boy. I looked it up. Boosh, 13 shots on goal in his last 5 games. Little juicy. Had 3 shots on goal in his last game against Boston. And pressure's on, Reese. Good luck. I'm kidding. You'll be fine. But I did bet it with my own money. Separately because I believe. Zach, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I got one tonight. Connor McDavid. It's not always easy to find plus money bets for him. Plus 128 to get a point on the power play here tonight. Talked about the power play being a key point here for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Connor McDavid, he's pissed off right now, hasn't scored in 2 games straight. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I was looking at the power play point, and then the fact that I didn't do it, but you keep saying it in the show.
We've got the same brain,
honorable
brother.
mentions. I also like a Boosh power play point because his odds you get extra juiced, and he gets the most touches of the puck on the power play without a doubt. It's just math, people. You just got to find the averages. Pat, which of those 3 do you like the most? And do you have anything you're hitting on? Whoops, pause. Anything you're placing your wagers on this evening?
Yeah, I went hard on Nuge getting 2.5 shots.
Yeah.
BM came in here earlier hot.
Yeah.
With the
it was the
Nuge.
way he said it with such confidence.
Life doesn't give you signs like that very often. And I only had $5 left in the account. So I put the account on it. So hopefully we'll be back tonight.
We don't unit shame.
No, that's fine.
Any of those others, and then no spiders for you, right?
No spiders today. I mean, how can you go wrong with the Draisaitl anytime goal? I mean, even if it's an empty net, it's almost a guarantee at this point. So
I just can't take him off of this thing, man. Like it'd be silly not to. I laugh. Fighting Homer says, "Does Bet365 hate money?"
Apparently, I do.
Shush. Don't let him know. We love you, Bet365. We appreciate you. And as I always say, gamble responsibly. Only bet what you are willing to lose. We don't unit shame. Throw in 5 cents. I don't care. A win is a win. And tell me on Oilersnation After Dark whether this hit or not. Lance, I know I've been riding with Bordzy's bankroll. I feel good. Granted, I should always feel good when I'm placing these, but I feel extra good this evening. Lance, let's ride. Final one before I ask you for your score predictions and an anytime goal scorer. We got the nation vacation upcoming, people. April 1st, and it's not an April Fool's joke. We will be in Vegas for the Oilers taking on the Golden Knights. The trip is March 30th to April 2nd. Visit nationgear.ca for more details. We offer flight options and no flight options if you want to cover your own flights with like points, whether you maybe don't live in Edmonton and you just want to find a way to get down there. Maybe you want to drive. Who knows? Fuck it. I don't know. Shout out to Flair Airlines as well as they are sending us on this bad boy. It's going to be a ton of fun. And my final question, Zach, score prediction, anytime goal scorer, hit me.
6-1 Edmonton Oilers win.
Woo!
And we're going to go Connor McDavid.
Nice. Pat, what do you got?
I like the confidence there. So I'm going to go 4-1 Oilers. And how can you go wrong with Hyman?
Reese, throwing you on the spot. Give me a score prediction. He wasn't ready for this.
6-3 Oilers.
Bang! Give me an anytime goal scorer.
Bouchard.
Woo!
I like it.
Shot props. For me, I'm gonna say 5-2 Edmonton Oilers. Stu will allow 2. I'm totally fine with that. And Leon Draisaitl gonna score a goal. Bob Stauffer's in. No, not the real Bob Stauffer. It's 4-2 from him. Loyal to Oil 3-1. Mr. Burns, I love you, and I love your prediction. 5-2 Oilers. Nuge stays hot. 4-2 as well. And that'll do it for us for Pregaming with Bordzy. Shout out to all of our sponsors. Sherwood Ford, The Giant, Sherwood Power Sports Marine, Greta Bar Yeg, Bet365, Will Hawk Beef Jerky, Flats of Odd Company Nation Beer, and Come On the Nation Vacation. Programming note, keep it locked here on the Oilers Nation YouTube as me, Zachariah, Patrick, and our boy Reese will be here all evening long for Oilers Nation After Dark right here on the YouTube after the game. I love you all. Good luck on the Bet365 battlegrounds out there, and we will talk shortly. Good luck.
Double salute.